All right. 7 o'clock, we'll call the meeting to order. Do I have a moderator?
I'll do the
Thank you.
More.
I'm thinking, wait a minute, what am I doing? Yes, okay, all right. We ready to start?
Yep.
Okay. Finances?
This will be difficult because there's no, I can't see anything. The whole screen is black.
Okay. And Charlie's not here to do the general finances, so
Well,
Do you
why
wanna-
are we on finances? We have to
I don't
she
know,
said
usually-
finances.
Usually we do the,
approve the minutes.
Yeah,
Do you
yeah,
not
yeah.
have an agenda?
well, I'm looking and it doesn't say anything on. board.
Finances
Yeah.
is down at the fifth
Yeah,
line here.
Okay, I got the right, one. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Corrections and approval to past minutes of October 3rd.
I didn't see anything
I didn't
in
see
there
it.
to change,
Yeah.
so I'll make a motion, we approve the minutes.
Okay, I'll second. Now we're on to
You
correspondence.
didn't ask if we're all in favor?
Hmm?
Are we all in favor?
Oh, I thought we were.
Aye.
All right, good. Moving right along. There's two good games on tonight.
Okay, move right along.
After
We don't
yesterday's
wanna-
sports,
We don't want to hold up.
we're
the
not talking
theater, guys.
sports.
Okay, correspondence. On the back of your agenda, you have, I was asked for the meeting dates for next year. So unless somebody wants to add extra meetings, we tried to add a couple extra meetings. We had one this past year. We could just call a special meeting if we need it, or else I have to amend the calendar that I gave to the town clerk. So does anybody feel strongly about extra? I think we had an extra July meeting. Yes.
I know we had one extra-
Or was it May? One of those we
I
had.
know we had an extra meeting, but
We had one, but
I'm fine with the
The
schedule and
schedule?
adding
Yeah.
a special meeting if we need it.
okay.
Do we need
And the
to-
other correspondence was I got a request from the Putnam Trails Committee to submit a letter of support for their Climate Resilience Fund application. That's what they're calling it, the Airline Trail Connection and Improvement Project. So anyway, I did that. They gave me like a basic letter and then I edited it for our concerns. If anybody wants to see it, they can.
Who is that letter to?
Well, I wasn't clear. They're gonna put it in there. It's addressed to the mayor, Barney Smay. But it's gonna be in their packet when they do their grant application to be.
For what it's worth, Thompson is technically named as a subrecipient on that grant, although we wouldn't be getting any money directly.
Okay.
It's more that we would benefit from the results of the grant. And they are probably going to be using parts of my, a certain calculation of my hours as in-kind match.
So if they're getting the grant and all that, then that's for the trail to come from Putnam to Thompson?
It's for the connection.
But the part that goes under the road, not go where the road crosses or where you cross the road or whatever you want to say, that's
12,
in
yeah.
Thompson. So that's part of the grant or no, because it's in Thompson?
I honestly don't know. I haven't seen the final draft. But it's possible that it would include some of that, but probably, I mean, it's whatever they are working on for the connection, and it obviously impacts Thompson, and some work would likely take place in Thompson, and therefore we're a subrecipient, but I don't know how far that work would extend or what they're proposing.
There was an interesting, in the draft that she sent me, I left it in, but I didn't really know what it was. She had a sentence that said, this project will improve stormwater management along the trail and evaluate floodplain area, improvising resiliency against extreme weather and protecting downstream infrastructure.
That helps with the erosion under 200. I'm all for it.
Yeah, so I didn't take that out, but I'm not sure exactly what area they're looking at for that.
I really don't know either.
Well, Paul and I walked that whole from Putnam to here and it runs along the river, so
Yeah.
it's gotta be something with
Right.
that, I would imagine.
I mean, we don't know what,
But-
they had all those choices of different routes. We don't even know which one they're finally proposing, so.
Do they have a meeting posted does anybody know?
There's,
I
it's,
gotta look.
I haven't seen one, but it's usually the last Tuesday of the month, I think,
Which would be the
Yeah.
27th,
which is,
which
yeah,
is,
but I haven't gotten a notice, so I don't know. They haven't been meeting every month.
If you do get a notice of meeting, can you forward it to me? Because I'd like to go. I don't know if I'll ask him a question, but I'd like to hear, only because Paul and I walked that and there's significant, not even talking about crossing the road, but on the other side of the road to the Putnam line needs work. I mean, it's swampy when you first go in.
Mhm.
I don't think it's a swamp. I think it's where the water's draining off the road or,
Well, it comes from the airline trail that, the pipe that went under the road.
all right. And you know what, so I'm just saying if that doesn't include any other work into Thompson, then that means we're gonna have to do something about that.
Right, I also, I wrote to DOT, but I think this was a couple months ago, so we probably mentioned it already, but when we were talking about that, we had heard something about they were gonna work on Route 12, and so I wrote to the powers that be that said, we want to be involved when you do that to determine, a road crossing for the trail, and this is Scott Bushy. I'm not sure who I sent it to, but, they said they keep it in mind that we want to.
sounds like
Talk
something
about that.
that would
Yeah.
have been Scott Bushy.
Yeah.
Lance got her hand up in the Zoom room.
I am,
Yeah. You can see up there. She's got her
yeah,
hand up.
so,
So go ahead and, oh, there you go.
I believe the next Putnam Trails meeting is going to be on Thursday, January 12th. They changed their schedule. They had one in November. And the next one will be, from what I have gathered, January 12th at 5 o'clock.
thank you.
Thank you. Can I just ask, anybody know where that meeting is in the town hall?
The new.
At least
the
the
new-
new-
Usually upstairs in one of the
Yeah.
rooms upstairs.
Not going up to the third floor and then not being able to find your way out.
John, I'll forward it to you when I get it.
Awesome, thank you.
That's all I have for correspondence.
Okay, so we're on to finances.
So you have I just asked for a report. It does not include the final turkey trot stuff. But, so before turkey trot, we have $7,811.
And even though I'll talk about turkey trot in a minute, we do have the draft of the turkey trot. We are not complete yet because there are a couple of invoices that have not been paid yet, but this is as close as, let's see, what did Brian say in his text? Okay, Racewire sent an invoice. He's waiting for an invoice from Earthworks and Shoppers Guide. We have received all the incoming checks. So this is likely going to be the final number, but it is a draft, so it is not final. And as you can see, we had another record-setting year, and our balance after expenses was $13,758.90, I guess, 0.9. That would lead to a distribution of the rec department and trails, each getting $3,439.72.5, and T getting $6,879.45. Our sponsorships increased from last year when it was 10,000, was it 10,050 or just over 11, I forget. But yeah, at least a $3,000 increase, 2,000 of that pretty much came from G7. joining us as our timing sponsor, and the Speedway coming back as a gold sponsor. So that was $2,000 of our increased sponsorship. We did lose a few sponsors, but most of them came back, and we added a few new ones, and it was just another very successful year. My first year running the race, I think our total sponsorship was about 6,500. So we've more than doubled since I've been race director. And again, a lot of that, I always give credit to Amanda in recreation and Brian. They do most of the follow-up and hound the people and get a few new ones that I don't even think of. So thanks to them, we continue hitting new highs.
Good job, good work by everyone. It's awesome.
I will continue on the subject when it comes up under events.
Cool. Can we move on? Okay, citizens' comments.
Any comments, Lion?
Dave?
With the committee.
Yeah, Lion's the only citizen. Oh, Valerie, yeah, Valerie.
Is Valerie a member of the committee?
No,
No,
I thought she was added as a member of the committee at one point.
she didn't submit an application.
Oh, okay. All right. Any comments, Valerie?
None from me. I'm
None
assuming
from me either.
I'm assuming I will get my questions answered when we talk about the Great East Thompson train wreck site.
Okay, so we can move on to events, turkey trot.
all right.
Yahoo, the portable,
Yeah,
the portable
well,
PA. I
The
think
first
worked
thing I'd
well.
like to do is, as I talked pre-meeting with Tara, I'd like to amend the agenda to go into an executive session to have a discussion related to turkey trot.
Okay,
We need to vote on that.
You would need a motion and a vote
Okay.
to go
Okay,
into
so-
executive session.
So I made the motion, right?
Yes, I would say
Okay.
you made the motion. Yes.
Okay.
he seconded, so we're on.
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Will not be in the notes, and you have to.
Yeah, I've got to pause the recording for those of you online, so. And actually, Valerie and Liane, for executive session, I have to ask you to step out and then come back in.
Who seconded?
Can I ask a question? How will we know when to come back in?
That is an excellent question.
Can't they ask to come in and then you let them in, so they can go out and then ask to come in and then you'll let them in when we're done? Is that how that works?
Yeah, I think I can put them in a weight room. Let me try that. Yes, that's exactly how it can go. So I'm putting you in the weight room. Okay.
Does that mean they have to work out when they?
Try every
Wrong
5
way.
minutes. I don't know what's going on.
Okay.
Okay, turkey trot.
Hold on one second.
Yeah,
Are they back?
let them come back in the room. There they are.
I see Valerie, yeah, okay.
Okay. Yes, I reported on the sound system at the EDC meeting, and the feedback was very good. I enjoyed using it. I thought it projected really well.
Where I
It was
was,
very easy to use with the wireless microphone. It really allowed me to do things I couldn't do before with the wired unit. We didn't use it under battery power, so we don't know how long the battery would hold up. It's supposed to be up to 6 hours fully charged. But since we had just picked it up the Friday before, Brian Levency picked it up, we didn't have a chance to do that. But I think I'm happy that this solves our needs and therefore would solve a lot of the needs, such as if Paul needs it when he's doing a presentation at the train wreck park, or if it's a little harder, say, if they're walking with it through West Thompson Dam, but it can be carried, it can be put on a dolly. We can still purchase a dolly that's made for it. I just don't know how big those wheels are, but you can still carry it around from spot to spot or keep it close enough where the microphone can still reach it. So I'm happy with the purchase, and I think it would work out for anyone else who needs to use it.
Where do we store that?
Yes.
I assume it's here someplace. Brian Levensey from the rec department, as part owner, is the one in possession of it. I did not take possession after the meeting, so he had it. I don't know if it's in
It's
the
either
closet here.
in there or in there. I don't,
There are a limited number of places where it can live, and I don't know where he's storing it either.
I had hoped to get a little better of a deal because it was not an exception to their 15% off Black Friday sale. And he was going to go. I was sending him, I don't think he had a chance to go because he's the one who purchased it from Manchester. And it didn't say prior sales weren't eligible. It didn't eliminate JBL as a brand name. And it could have been 15% off, which would have paid for the wheels, but it still came in under our $400 per group. I don't know the final, I don't have the final price with me, but
So we haven't.
I know we
submitted
asked
that
for
yet.
400. You'd have to check with Brian Levensey on that, because it's all goes through the rec department and gets divided up from there. It's probably about 380, 370, 380. As far as the turkey trot itself, thank you all for your assistance. Paul was not able to make it. He had his prior commitments throwing pumpkins.
Nice. I missed that.
Sweet.
But fortunately, we had enough help this year. Try Paul or anyone else to avoid conflicts that day, because I do count on all of your support. And that's one of the reasons I was willing to take on this challenge, was that you were all behind me. Paul, it's fine. You did a great thing to help out the farm, and we didn't need you. I'm just concerned that we can't all start making other plans.
How could you compete with a trebuchet?
Well, I can't. I mean, I have 2 pumpkins that you could still throw if you really had to. But again, we had great help from volunteers. Teague did a great job bringing the personnel out. While you were all there, the kids fun run had its biggest participation to date. Well, you weren't there. John added a fun little seesaw obstacle.
Did that go well? I saw some videos of the fun run, but I didn't see that.
No,
Once
we
again, I didn't really
moved it
get to
because
see
it
it.
was pouring rain.
Yeah, it was
I remember,
slippery.
And it was too
Oh,
slippery.
Okay.
yeah,
But
that
I
was the
did
only
s-
issue was the weather.
But I did see kids.
They were
playing
playing with it
later.
after. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, for the nasty morning that it was, you know, you think, okay, who's gonna show up at this? And they were there somebody came to register at 10 after 8. The
Yep.
race is not until 10. What are you doing?
I did tell them on Facebook to come early, just in case they had the year before, they were parking at the
Yes, well,
furthest
right.
lot,
No,
and they're
I
showing
understand.
up at the starting line at race time.
But you know, the thing is, it's 10 after 8, and you're thinking, you're not going off till 10. But then a lot of them ran the course
They go-
before
Yeah, they
to find where the
stretch
mud
and they- yeah.
was and that sort of stuff.
My friend Kevin was like, he couldn't believe what we got for numbers that I told him, because he goes, I didn't park hardly any cars. He goes, I'm waiting.
Yeah, there seemed to be
Waiting,
less cars, but we
waiting.
still had 140 or so runners, which is the
Yeah.
same as the year before. So with better weather, we might have done
Yeah, yeah.
even better. Again, the kids run at a record number. We were down a little on the walk, which doesn't surprise me. It's not as competitive. People aren't going to come out to walk.
In the rain.
We added the starting line mat this year. That gave people an accurate time. There was one call that Levensey got from a mother of one of the young kids who ran the 5K, wondering why her kid did not get the trophy she thought she would get, because she finished in front of another kid. And Brian had to say, depends on when they started. This was timed from the start. So someone else could finish behind a runner
Hmm.
and have a bat faster time because they started further back.
Yeah.
But there were not a lot of no-shows.
No,
On
but
the-
that, but
on
that
the
was,
pre-registered,
that was the
yeah.
surprising thing, was that, you know, with the crummy weather and whatever, and yet, you know, yeah, there were not very many no-shows, you know?
Very positive feedback from Gary O.
Oh, but
He
he does
loves
a
that
good job.
event, and
Yeah, he does a good
he
job
thought-
with that.
He thought we
you know?
did great. Michael was very nice after the race and came up to me and told me that it was the best one that he had ever attended. And that means so much to me, Michael, because you've been there from the start and you helped organize this, and I couldn't get a better compliment than to hear that from you. Thank you.
Well,
Thank you. But again, it's a team, it's the volunteers. I couldn't handle registration and stuff. You guys take care of that. You got back in time. John out on the course. I mean, and again, what rec department does, but I'm just a guy with the name race director, and you
No,
guys do
great.
all the work.
You do great on the microphone, and I'm just
Thanks.
watching him walk around with a cowboy hat.
I'm getting more comfortable with that stuff, so I just wish we had better weather, and I think,
One of these years we will. One of these years we'll have that 65, 70 degrees,
Global warming.
sunshine.
and maybe next year, look at the net number, maybe next year we'll shoot for 15,000 as a net after expense. We're gonna look, we haven't had our final meeting. I want to discuss a little better about how we do spend our money. Some things I don't think we get, like the shopper's guide, we don't necessarily get our bang for the buck from that. Winnie, I think we do, we want to keep them involved. I don't know if we could spend it any better, but we just want to make sure we're spending it the right way. Try to get up to the, get back to the 200 number for running participants, which is pretty much our high.
Yeah.
So that's my next goal, 15,000 in net proceeds and 200 runners. So hopefully we could achieve that next year.
then I have some suggestions. With the walk, it would be nice if it was just for 2.8 or whatever
Mhm.
the actual distance is.
John and I have not measured that distance, and we mean to every year. We're calling it a 3K wobble, but I don't know that it is. I do know the run is an exact 5K because we walk that off every year.
The first mile was very accurate because it was made for the runners.
Mhm.
The 1 mile point works for walkers and runners.
And
But
it separates.
when I got to the 1 mile, I'm only used to walking maybe the 2 miles,
Mhm.
but it was much longer, closer to 3.
Okay.
And I had a hard time with that.
Mhm.
I just think it should be accurate.
No, you're correct. Okay.
And
By the way, my coughing is not because I'm sick. I'm having acid reflux from meatballs because that's what's coming up. So no, I'm not spreading germs here. Well, I hope I'm not. But it's just the meatballs.
and then I think we almost
It's on the
need
record.
someone to just work on walkers to increase. Most races have double the number of walkers
Mhm.
compared to runners. And we're nowhere near that.
Well, again, this year, I think the weather did a part of it, but
Yeah.
It's been like this from the beginning.
yeah.
Weather has,
Do you have a suggestion on how we could recruit more walkers to take part in the race?
yeah, I think there needs to be some incentive for elementary schools and cross-country teams to participate.
This year, Mike, we did have a problem with that because there were other events going on that weekend, and a lot of the cross-country teams have very few kids enrolled. Peter Lusa is our contact on that. And he said, even his job at his school, there's like nobody participating.
Yeah,
And they had some other kind of
And you had the
State finals
scout,
or something?
yeah, the finals are often that
Was-
weekend,
yeah.
and the scouts had their thing that weekend,
Yeah,
so
they
it
had
does
a,
make it
oh,
hard.
yeah.
There are
Eagle
conflicts.
Scout ceremony.
What I did allow this year, and I might publicize next year, which might bring more walkers, because actually a coworker at Walmart asked me, and then she didn't participate, is allowing well-behaved dogs on the walk. If they're behaved, we'll throw them off the course. They can't be on a run, obviously, because the path is not wide enough to have a dog running with a person, and dogs can get too excited. But we did have a couple people that brought their dogs, and I don't have a problem with that. And I think a lot more people would participate if they could bring their dog with them.
We had a lot of complaints when there were dogs.
Oh, yeah? You have tried that before?
Yeah,
Interesting.
Do you connect with NDDH at all? Because they have a sort of Get on the Trails Healthy Living Initiative. And they could push that out to their, I don't know if it's a membership
Okay,
or
what's NDD?
Yeah.
the Northeast District Department of Health.
Okay,
Oh, she was at our ribbon cutting.
Yes, Linda was at the ribbon cutting.
write that down, John, because I'm not writing, and you'll be at our wrap-up meeting, hopefully, whenever we schedule that.
I forget what they call the initiative, unfortunately, and I attend all their meetings, but it is tied to improving overall health outcomes by, essentially encouraging people to get outdoors.
I found with younger people, high school and lower, that a pizza party brings them to, it does.
Okay, we're gonna have healthy runners and then we're gonna have the group that's gonna come to pizza. I'm going.
Hey, it could be Tackle the Trail. They had burgers and beer at the end of their race.
But you can't give it to the walkers and not give it to the runners.
Yeah, exactly.
But now we're running into a real expense.
Mm.
Well, you have sponsors.
Oh, yes, yeah. Harpoon Ale.
Yeah, it's possible that we could get, I mean, Drafters is a sponsor now. It's possible that we can get a Riverside or a Thompson Pizza to
Oh, absolutely.
sponsor, not necessarily be an in-kind sponsor
Yeah,
and contribute something like that. Sure.
I think so. It will make a big difference, I can assure you.
Well,
Good idea.
the Raceway gave away those little coupons for the cleanup, the roadside cleanup for the ice cream.
They do that every year.
Yeah, so maybe something like that. Yeah.
Who's the bib sponsor?
The
G7.
timing sponsor, G7 Catering.
They were on the bibs or?
Yeah.
Because didn't we talk about, I remember we talked about this a long time ago in the turkey trot, like offering something on the bibs to use as like a coupon at a local establishment, whoever is the sponsor for that of, some kind of coupon on that after the race, you could come in and get whatever. I mean, we discussed beer, like a beer or a appetizer or something.
There was, what were we, there was a,
Drafters gave a coupon.
what was
Yeah,
it?
and
Drafters gave a coupon for a
Yeah, and
percentage
most
off.
people didn't even want, personally, it's a piece of paper that was in half with the map and that in it. They didn't take it.
What time does the race generally wind up?
Noon?
Noon. Okay,
30?
so late enough so that they are into
Mhm.
lunch hour.
Oh, yes,
Yeah,
Yeah.
'cause that
It's
would, 'cause
right
that would
at
make a
that.
difference.
but to hand something off, they don't want that. I mean,
But that's what I'm saying, if it's on their bib and they're getting it
Yeah.
to register to run and then they're.
I don't know, can they put that on a bib? though?
I don't know.
And
I
that's
just
why-
remember talking about this years before you were the race director, when it
Yeah.
was Rob and I was part of the committee and stuff
Yeah.
too. That we had talked about that, because they were looking for a place in Putnam, but then it's like a Thompson event, yet you want to, get a spot. We didn't have like drafters in town
Mhm.
that we could.
but that
Do
was the
something
thing,
with.
because as they would register and take their bib number, would say to them, with the map and there was the coupon on the inside. and They didn't want it. Where are they
We could have had
gonna?
the coupon, they didn't know the coupon was in there till they
We
dropped
were
it.
telling them,
Or
Well,
even,
Tara did say so. I shouldn't add the extra paper, but it was in one page that they copied at town hall, so it was an
Yeah.
easy thing to do.
even maybe, again, if we get a kid to put them on their, under their wiper on their car.
you got
I
plenty
don't
of
think
time.
the West Thompson Dam would thank you for flyering.
No,
Let's see,
no.
that's it.
At least we
No.
didn't find them all over the place. So whoever did take them didn't leave them. There
Yeah,
was
no.
really nothing to clean up.
Yeah.
Everyone was really good about.
I mean, if you
Or
were gonna
even-
do the little brochure thing again, we could just print a coupon on,
Yeah,
that they
yeah.
could hold on to.
Yeah, we could do that. That was a last minute thing. We did
yeah,
it like 3 days
yeah.
before the event.
But instead of having an insert, if that made sense.
Mhm. Yeah, I know I had a whole bunch of coupons from Tackle the Trail and they were good for like 2 weeks. I didn't use any of them.
Well, I think if you're gonna do something like that, you have to actively call their attention to it, perhaps when you're emceeing. Hey, and be sure to go to our sponsoring organization. blah, blah, blah,"
Yeah, I
because you're-
did not draw attention to it.
'Cause
no.
even if you didn't have nothing on the bib, they could just show their bib.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
right.
I think that's all they do at Tackle the
And
Trail.
then
You show
just
the
write
bib, you get
number
your
down, right,
burger
just so
and
we
you
can
get
see
your
how many
beer.
we get or whatever.
Yeah, but if you call their attention to it at a critical point, like either right before they start or, during the awards ceremony, you do an award ceremony.
Oh, yes.
right? Yeah,
Yeah.
then.
This
that's
one was
the
kind of
moment
tough
where they're
because it was
now
pouring rain
thinking,
again.
What are we doing next? And it's the little prompts and nudges that get people to do things.
I also think it's the
And
weather, because
maybe-
people are cold and wet when
and
it's
maybe-
that day, and they're like, I just want to get in my car.
Well, that day might have been
Yeah.
true.
And
but it
maybe
isn't that
both
way every time.
Thompson and Riverside would join in being the two primary pizza places. And that way, everyone isn't going to one restaurant.
Yeah. Yeah.
They can go right there after and they're not overloading the restaurant and sharing the wealth.
Are they putting another restaurant in at the corner?
No, that's gonna be the marijuana place.
And then,
Oh, that would- yeah.
all right.
That
Well,
corner.
well,
Dispensary.
Yes. He's
Because I
probably
didn't-
not giving out coupons for that.
Really?
I didn't know-
No,
I didn't know
no.
what was going in there. I went by one day and I
No.
went, oh, something's coming back. And-
Yeah.
Okay, so it's not a restaurant. All right.
and we can't have anything to do with beer or alcohol.
Well, you can if you give it away.
No,
No, they won't allow it?
we'll get ourselves in trouble.
Sounds like they tried.
Yes.
One other thing is we need to have a better system for the awards and getting photos of the winners.
Okay,
It was a crummy day and Brian was freezing, but this like one handoff thing, you can't get a picture of the winners when their backs to the public and they're just grabbing their award. The previous year we set it up so the photographer that was there,
mhm,
she was able to get a picture of every award winner.
mhm.
And I don't know whether that's important for
We put
getting it
a
on
backdrop up or
Facebook and
something?
stuff. but we
The
didn't
previous
get
year,
that.
we didn't even do anything with the photos
Oh,
and
okay.
Brian Levency lost the memory card that they were.
Oh.
Okay,
Fortunately, Laura still had them, so we were able to get them again last minute, but we never used the photos. for
but I
anything.
don't know how her plan worked out this year being off on the course either, because she didn't get back for the winners.
Right, but that was just the difference. She said,
Yeah.
we always take pictures of the winners and she just wanted something different.
Yeah.
And she told me about that and I
Okay.
said, fine, and your pictures were great. and-
Yeah, but I didn't get everybody.
I posted a
because
bunch of
they-
pictures too. I took tons when I was coming from the last person. All of a sudden the runners are all coming at me, so I just kept clicking.
Okay. Good input. Anything else? Hopefully my secretary took down all the important stuff over there.
Just a good event.
Hmm.
Yeah. All right, we're at Little League.
I apologize, I did not get an update from Recreation today. I could have. I think that they had their last collection this past Saturday. That was the plan.
He
Now-
said he was gonna have another collection this.
I
coming
thought-
Maybe
Saturday.
because of the rain, they pushed it off, but it's been the last Saturday of a month.
Yeah.
But they pushed it to December 2nd because of the Thanksgiving holiday. But obviously this weekend, it was a rainy, miserable mess. So he may have pushed it off. I did not follow up. But that would have been the conclusion. So we'll have to do a wrap up soon. So I will make a mental note to follow up with Rec. They probably have a couple of holiday things to get through. And then realistically, probably January, I would say. We'll go in and revisit that and see how they want to roll it back out for April. For realsies, like what they've learned, but I don't have a specific update.
Okay. So we're at trail updates, airline train wreck site status.
Okay, Daniel Blanchett of J&D either has already been out or is about to go out to do the site survey work and start working on the site plan. That was what was grant funded through CT Deep. He hasn't invoiced me yet. I did email him this afternoon to try to get an update as to what his timeline is. we've talked about it on the phone a couple of times, and of course I haven't written it down, so I just needed it in my email, but he hadn't replied as of the time I got in to set up this meeting. So that $16,000 was awarded by CT Deep for this year. That'll be supplemented by 4,000 out of the 154,000 that we put aside from the ARPA money. The same grant program, the CT Deep Recreational Trails Grant Program, just opened up again last Friday. So I was definitely encouraged to resubmit for the balance of the project by Kim Bradley, who is the person who took over for Lori Gennady at CT Deep. So I downloaded the application today. Presumably, once Daniel does his site design and all that, he's going to give me slightly amended engineer's estimates for the costs on the rest of it. And I have until March 1st to submit for that. And then hopefully we'll get a little more money to put into that one way or the other. In 23, we're going to get to the construction of, at the very least, what we've already put the money aside for, and then hopefully we'll have a little more. And just as a reminder, so the grant is funding the pre-construction work, the site design, and any acquisition and legal costs associated with the 1.1 acre portion of the Butler's property, where the turntable is located and where we have an MOU with the Butlers currently in place. If we don't get another dime, what we will be doing with the 150 remaining from the ARPA funds is doing the site work and construction of the turntable and building the pavilion at about that sort of halfway point between the entry point, and doing the localized traffic calming on the road into the parking area. So the pieces that I would resubmit for, depending on what the cost estimates come back revised, the pieces we did not get enough funding to pursue were improvements to the parking area itself. And that was the biggest cost, was all the site work and clearing and grading that would be associated with that. And the entry point welcome center kiosk thing, and any landscaping associated with the parking area and drainage. So it's a 20% match. So the 150 cash match would be 20%. I need to double check to see if the donated materials from that the Historical Society purchased, if I can use that retroactively as in-kind match. I definitely could last year, but there's an 18-month look back period, and I'm not sure if we'll be outside that by the time I submit. So I've got to, because that would add another, like, I think it was almost $50,000 worth of in-kind value that we can then, count in that 20%. So, Paul, did you have anything? You've been out there physically more recently than I have.
Well, I put up the new East Thompson
That's
sign.
Mhm.
That went up.
And the picture looked fantastic.
Not much. I've been doing some work around the old depot. Yeah, you get the foundation and stuff like that, kind of clearing some of that out just because it's there.
Right.
Any plan as far as the cleaning that out is taking any of those little pine trees down before they get like too big, or?
Yeah, I'd like to.
Should talk. I mean, because there's nothing too formidable in
Yeah.
that, and it's not a huge area. I mean, the biggest ones are,
Yeah.
they're something that I'm not intimidated by, I would say. No, but I'm not
Yeah.
Mr.
Yeah.
Paul Bunyan by any means, but when they get bigger, I'm like, but the little ones I can do.
Yeah, if you want, maybe we can go down sometime, just, cut them up, and I don't know what you do with the.
Even if we
Maybe
stack
have
them
to
to the
just
side or
put 'em in-
something.
They're gonna mulch the stuff up later anyway, when they do the whole site,
No,
so maybe you just pile them up somewhere.
I might have access to somebody's chipper.
Oh,
Well, I was going to
great.
say for pine, chipping is probably your best option.
Yeah.
Okay,
Valerie, you mentioned in citizens' comments that you might have questions about the train wreck site. Were they answered in that?
She, is she,
Well,
She's
she's
not.
there.
yeah,
Sorry, I couldn't get unmuted. I apologize. It- So I thought I would hear more about the signage, the existing signs that were installed.
Are you referring to the fact that somebody mentioned that there had already been some vandalism? Paul knows, I think, a little bit about
Oh,
that.
yeah, that got taken care of when we did the signs over, we put the things. So they actually cleaned that up when they put the new signs on, we had.
The backing.
The backings on,
Yeah.
or whatever it was.
And as I recall from when we ordered those, they said that they're fairly easy to clean of that stuff. I haven't seen before or after what the results were. But you said they cleaned up fine?
Well, yeah, obviously they did, because they put the thing over it and it looked fine.
Okay.
What was it, spray paint or?
I don't know.
I
The
didn't see it.
graffiti, the same graffiti, if you go in the outhouse, the same guys wrote.
Oh,
graffiti
There's somebody
together.
tagging stuff around town.
Yeah.
I've seen in a couple different places.
Yeah.
T something.
a new group.
Did you have a specific question about them?
Well, the last, and maybe you covered it in the meeting that I missed, but the last meeting I was in, the backing was being discussed. And I was interested in what the status was on that. I did go out there. But the other thing that's been confusing to me throughout this whole thing, and I know I came into the conversation very late when I started attending these meetings last year, but I'm very confused about what was the issue that we needed to cover up the window.
I'll address that. The problem was, looking through there depends on the time of the day or how the sun was shining. It was very difficult to actually see through the original design. It wasn't really clear with the sun up and where they were located. Two of them had that issue, so we put backings on them, and on one of them, we put another picture on the back side, so that with the white backing, you can see the picture really well. And that's all been done. I don't know if you haven't been down yet, all that's been taken care
I was there last weekend. Thank you.
of. Okay. Did you get to see the new East Thompson sign?
I did. It looks, it's one of the people I was with thought it was the original.
All right, we got a job.
Excellent. Mission accomplished.
Well, actually, from the historical side, the whole process of creating that sign was a very tedious process. So everything is pretty much original, the font, the size, the material, the paint, all that. We got all the exact specifications from the train community and whatever, and from that, we built that.
Yep, it definitely looked like the original, so that was cool.
That's good.
Okay, she went mute again.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that she asked her question.
Okay, can we go on now to the bike repair station?
So EDC was essentially asked to give money back to the general fund because of a deficit that was run. So even though they voted to fund a portion, take backsies.
They're reneging.
Well, they're not exactly reneging. They will, what is likely to happen is in the next budget season, that's going to be on the list of items that we go in with our justification for and say, please fund the EDC to this amount. I mean, EDC's budget got hammered in the last budget season. One of the reasons that was used to justify taking it away is that we weren't specific enough about some of the items. So this would be a specific item that we will include in that funding request.
And we don't really need the station right now anyway.
we can always use it, but it's not like it's
Yeah,
a,
it's
Yeah.
not, it's
We
not.
hadn't really decided where it was gonna go. I mean, I think there was a general feeling that it was gonna be in the Mechanicsville trailhead, but I don't think anybody ever really said, yeah. it's
A lot,
definitely
a lot of
gonna
us wanted it at the train wreck site, but the train wreck site wasn't starting yet, so we were
That's right.
thinking Mechanicsville
And I can
until.
include a separate funding request when I resubmit the grant too, so I would say that that's. So, you know,
So
you
that's
don't
on
really
hold.
lose anything. You guys have already voted on it, so that half of the funding is secured. And then, like I say, we'll go back into EDC and ask for it again for the next fiscal year budget.
Okay. All right, mowing reports and maintenance issues.
Well, John and I, we mowed. No, we didn't mow. We,
you mowed, I
Yeah, I
think, you
mowed.
went and did some mowing, I didn't go
Yeah.
mowing.
Yeah.
What did we do? We got
I
together and
did-
did
I
something.
picked up,
Well,
I picked up a lot of the trail the day the two of you were mowing. Remember you started
well, we
down
mowed down- we
Mechanicsville
mowed
again
down
and
again on
I went-
Mechanicsville.
We haven't had a meeting since then?
no, no.
So we did mow again now, right? Now I remember Mechanicsville, and then we mowed the trail all the way
All the
to,
way to 200
200.
where it was all washed out. Remember, we
turned
we
around.
mowed around the wash so you can actually get around it
around the
with some
washout.
crap in the way.
Maintenance.
So
I haven't been on any of the trails lately, other than looking down from both sides at Lowell Davis. I don't
yeah, the
see,
problem with
I
the
don't see any
bridge-
trees
No,
down
no.
or anything in,
So there were a couple trees down. Close to the train wreck site on this side of the turntable, there was a tree down. I cut it up. It's all stacked on the side, but it's off the trail. And I actually did a little bit of walking maintenance from there and cut those trees that hang over, the little ones, just to
Mm.
get them, to clear them out, because I was going to that end of the trail. There was another tree that fell by where all the water collects on the trail, that little bridge that's
Yeah,
right there behind
yeah.
the farmhouse. I know the people who live in the farmhouse, and they told me that the tree had fallen and gone through the railings. So I went over and cut that tree up. I fixed one of the railings. I haven't been back. I gotta get back to fix. I think I can put up the railings that are there. And I had sent you that email, Karen, and just say I might need to buy 1 2x6. I think they're like $8 or something like that. Whatever, I'll figure it
Just
out when
save
we
your
do.
receipts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's just the railings got broken because the tree went through the railings, but the posts that hold the railings are still good. So again, I think I can just piecemeal it together. It's not a danger to anybody or anything like that. So that was good.
I'm not really clear where that is.
Off 193, if you look from the bridge from 193, you can
Right
see
there.
it.
Yeah. So anyways, I cut that one up. One other thing I meant to, I don't know what the process is for it. Somebody left us a nice air conditioner at the airline trail on Sandham Road. I would have picked it up and just thrown it in my truck and taken it to the transfer station the other day, but my truck was full. I hadn't been to the transfer station in a while, and I had, my father-in-law has been sick, so I had his trash, and then I also had, he does have a sticker, but he hasn't been able to go, and then I go for the fire department. So my truck was full, so I couldn't pick it up. And I told them at that place, but I don't think that they're gonna remember. So I didn't know, should I?
Usually call Kelly and then she tells the highway
Okay.
department
Yeah.
when they're out to
I
fix
think,
something.
I think they're free anyway for air conditioners. I know tires they charge.
Yeah.
No, you're gonna pay.
You gotta pay for
Yeah,
the
You will?
air
for the
conditioner,
free
Okay.
on,
just
there's
because
a
of the
free
free
on.
on.
Okay, yeah.
But I don't
Then
think
you
they
have to
would have
go,
charged us.
then
It's
you
on
have
the
to
side
go
of the
through
road.
Kelly, Janess.
But I just didn't know if they would have somebody to pick it up or whatever. I just.
Yeah, usually, I mean, whenever they're going somewhere, they know it's somebody's dumped.
All
they'll
right, so
pick
I'll
it
send
up.
her an email.
I only had a plastic stairway and a cooler at Lowell Davis this past week and it fit into my trash can, so.
Plastic staircase.
Yeah, it's like one of these little 1 or 2 step things. It could probably be used for mounting a horse, but.
What else did I remember?
All right, for maintenance, I worked with the town to get on the parking lot and the airline trail. There was a bunch of big things that they had them fill that all in.
Oh,
Which
yeah,
parking
yeah,
lot?
a new
New
road.
road, parking lot?
Yeah, new road, yeah, where the corner
That's
is, it
been
really was
disaster for a long
getting to be a ditch and that's much better now.
I don't know how, now the water should run down to the thing, but I haven't checked that to see if that's.
Well, you'll know because it's gonna rain, not tomorrow, but during the night and into Wednesday, so you can take a
Been
walk
fine, yeah.
down and.
What's that?
There has been no puddles. It's awesome there now. They did a great
Oh.
job.
I guess we could cover under maintenance issues. I sent something to you, Karen, a while back about the signing at the intersections at the Putnam trailheads. And I was wondering if that might be required by law, and Thompson does not have the proper signing. But they had like 5 signs on each side of the trail to slow traffic and to stop people coming on the trail. It was really professionally and thoroughly done. Putnam, because I was at the Putnam intersection.
Are they on the road or on the trail?
They're both.
Oh, really?
And I was wondering if they did that on their own or if it is a requirement and Thompson is not following that requirement.
We'll go out on a limb and say they did that on their own.
Let me see, when was Tackle the Trail? It was in October, so I should. Do you remember my sending them to you?
No, sorry.
Okay, so, well, I can't kind of show everyone, but here we have. This is from the trail side, so there's a small stop sign with a sign showing the road. No motor vehicles for the trail. This has a little crosswalk type thing with a yield sign. I mean, they didn't just make these signs up, so they're available.
Now, is this on the airline trail?
Yeah.
Well,
This,
wouldn't that be? the
here we
state
have-
that would be doing
this is
that?
on the street. Now, this
It's
is
not
local,
impossible.
but this
It's
is
not
a local
Route
town
12,
road.
it's local town
Yeah,
road.
this is, what do you call that road? It's a
But they
dead end
don't-
road, actually.
But they don't have an airline.
But- Yeah,
It's on the other side. of the
this is
river.
the last crossing for Tackle the Trail before they get to the Y. That's the one I get assigned
It's like
to.
behind a hospital area.
Then this is, yeah, exactly. That road that, if
Yeah.
you're going up to the hospital, it's
Yeah.
left below the hospital. And this was on the street. It shows a diamond sign with a bike and a hiker, and it says trail crossing ahead. And even if they're not required, yeah, it's an expense, but I would think that's something that this kind of profiles all three. They have that trail crossing, then they have this sign with the yield and showing a hiker, and then another sign showing a hiker with an arrow. And that's all on the street approaching the trail.
That's on
So,
Qunnebog Road?
no,
No.
I forget the name of the road.
The one that's below Day Kimball.
It's
That
river-
last
that's
one.
So
river
maybe next time we have.
So
a
they
public
have
meeting,
three,
we could
they
have
have
them
three
all.
sets of signs approaching the trail on each side, plus signs on the trail on each side. And it doesn't really show it, but they have the triangles and the crossing painted. Let's see. For the, right on the road. I mean, for what we got, that's why I thought of it, at New Road, that is nothing compared to what they do on this little dead end road, that the only people that drive on it are probably the 5 houses that are beyond this intersection.
Oh, they
But
just
it
did
is
the trail.
very, very clear that you are reaching a trail from whether you're on the trail or on the road. If Putnam did it, they did a great job, but I'm, again, when I sent it to you, I'm just wondering, that's a lot for them to do voluntarily. Was it,
I
is
don't
it,
know,
is it
the
required?
trail committee didn't do it because they haven't done
No,
anything.
no, this isn't trail.
So-
That's,
They just did that whole section over anyway.
no, not this
right? The
section.
trail?
This wasn't even mowed for Tackle the Trail. They haven't done stone dust. It's
Okay, so
got
that's
trap
not
rock
part of
on
the-
it.
the Nice.
Yeah, the bridges are a little further up, but this part of the trail was not done at all.
So what's happening with the wayfinding signage?
So I was just thinking about that. So we have from, God, it's like 2 years old now, the
Right.
wayfinding design package that CME did for us under that crowd, the first crowdfund we did. So I submitted that in a grant that same year, that winter following that fall or whatever, which we were unsuccessful about. And I have not seen that grant program come around again, or one that's quite suited.
Mm.
But it is, that is one that I kind of have on,
That's on the
what is that one called? Give me a second, I'll tell you what that one was called, because that, they did encourage me to apply for that again when it came back around. It was the,
Let's see, the street.
I mean, those signs, Brian, they're like off, they go on one of those catalogs where they have all the standardized signs. They look all very standardized. And I'm
Yeah.
just wondering if the state is going to, I mean, the 12-town task
And
force
again,
is
it
not,
it
whether
might-
it should be
it-
standard with what's happening in all the other towns.
And it
or-
might be, like I said, it might be a state regulation. It might be provided by the state because it's a state trail.
But
I don't
that's
know
what-
if it's
that's my
Putnam.
thought.
I don't know,
I don't-
Putnam, not the Trails Committee, but Putnam as a town did it. Somebody did it, and it was really professionally done. And again, we've got nothing on most of our crossings. And the town painted a crosswalk at New Road just because it was a safety concern of ours. But
And Sandy.
yeah, and that's not as something as elaborate as what we want to do when we make that a parking lot. But it would certainly be beneficial to have something like, I mean, we don't even have anything close to that crossing 193, and that's a dangerous crossing.
It is.
well, I mean, John asked a related question, which isn't that a part of the grant? Because I mentioned the traffic calming. So traffic calming is a lot of things, not just signage, and probably a crosswalk sign will be a part of whatever gets recommended there. We need to see what Daniel comes back to. The overall wayfinding package included several trailhead signs and other things as well, gateway signs, all that. So that is definitely on my short list. With any grant, you have to keep in mind that you may need match funding. The reason I wanted that particular grant is, as I recall, there was a zero match requirement. So, and I was just looking in my files to see what the name of that one was. And I'm not finding it easily, but it was through CT dot, and it was the same grant program that funded the road safety study from 2016. I think, Karen, you were a part of that working group. So it's whatever that one was, which means it's got a somewhat high success probability if I submit again, because grant programs love to fund things they've already funded before, which are extensions. I was really surprised when we didn't get the grant that year. But whatever, I'll just throw it against the wall again when we get the chance.
No, when someone said Pomfret, no, I didn't do Pomfret. The last 2 years I've been in Putnam. It wasn't there in Putnam for Tackle the Trail last year. So this happened between last year and this
Oh,
year.
yes,
And I was
Delphi.
in Pomfret 4 years ago and they didn't have that. But yeah, if we can contact, someone from Putnam has to know where they came from. And if it is a state program, maybe we can get the state to provide them, and
Right.
maybe just our DPW has to set them up, but the state will pay for it as a safety measure because it's their trail.
Lyanne, I think you had your hand up for a minute there. Did you have something about the Putnam signs that you knew about?
It's got to unmute. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm having difficulty unmuting. I was just wondering if it was something that Monique Wolanin got done, but if it's not throughout the whole trail, I guess it wouldn't be.
Yeah, I don't think that
If
had anything
it's
to do
specific
with
to only Putnam, I guess it wouldn't be. Is that River Road that you're talking about?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
Mm,
it is.
Is it? I don't know. That name doesn't sound familiar, but
I don't know, man.
I know it's a road below the hospital, and you go down up that road, there's a couple sharp turns, you take a left, and it's that road that's a dead end. It leads to a couple farms and
Maybe the residents lobbied for it or something. Yeah.
I am also looking into, and I actually think this is a long shot, but it's worth mentioning under this. There is another CT dot grant open. I think it's still open right now, called the TRIP grants, which are designed for connector roads in rural areas. We had initially, and it runs through the COG. And we had initially inquired about it as possibly being able to fund work on Main Street, because Main Street's a collector road, but it's in the urbanized area. So it definitely doesn't apply for the TRIP grant. So my question back to the COG, because I guess Amy and the new DPW director, Joe, were brainstorming about it. And they were suggesting that that area, New Road or Sandam or whichever it becomes there, where it crosses into Rhode Island, near the tri-state marker
Mhm.
and into the area of the airline trail, if that might be eligible. I have not had a response back since I sent that inquiry out to NECOG. What I understand about that grant and my understanding of it is based on me reading the grant guidelines probably about a month ago, is that they do like proposals that include alternate modes of transport, which a multi-use trail definitely is. And that it would otherwise operate very similarly to the lot SIP grant, which is what funded these sidewalks.
Oh.
And that was a zero match grant, but the grant wouldn't pay for any design. So there's always something, right? There's always some piece that hitches you up if you've got a piece missing. And often it's that it will fund construction and not design, or the match threshold is high. There's always something. But anyway, it is something I'm also looking into. And that sort of was just a reminder when we were talking about this. So that might be a follow-up. I'll follow up with NECOG this week.
Just to clarify for Karen and for the record, it isn't River Road, it is off River Road, it's Town Farm Road, which used to connect to Technology Park Drive, but that is private property, so there's signs saying there that you can't follow that road through to Technology Park, which would of course lead you up to the area of the Y.
Okay. Okay. Fabian River access,
Well, Charlie's not here.
okay. So,
He was kind of following with that, so.
Yeah.
all right, social media, PR, outreach, maps, brochures, flyers, decals.
Yeah, you had something on the Z folds, didn't you?
Yeah, so as you guys know, I'm Thompson's representative on the Eastern Region Tourism District, and I'm on the marketing committee. Apparently, this has progressed at the board of directors level on the tourism district further than I had thought. I thought I was going to be addressing this at our quarterly meeting on Thursday. They have essentially voted to support up to $9,100. It's an odd amount, but there's a reason for it. $9,151, I think, was the amount for a reprint. That reprint amount was based on all 8 towns buying in. We have an estimate for the reprint. Now, I've been trying to, herd the cats. I have 4 towns confirmed. 3 towns are taking a pass, and 1 town that I have yet to hear from. So those numbers will get adjusted. But what it was originally based on was each of the 8 partner towns, assuming that they bought in, contributing $1,000 to the reprint, and the district matching that $9,151. And if any towns wanted their own updates, they had to pay for those themselves with Quinn and Harry. So this is just print costs. So what I am going to have to do is nail down the last town to see if we've got 4 or 5, and then get the quote amended. But from the district's point of view, they'll go up to that 9,151. The question is, how many units are we talking then for each town? Does the cost per unit go up if we have fewer towns? Like, what are we really getting? But the initial estimate was to get a reprint of 3,000. Thompson is essentially out when we've got,
I have a few.
yeah, we've
I
got
have
a
some.
couple hundred left maybe. But we're essentially out of the first run. Putnam's taking a pass, Hampton's taking a pass, and Portland's taking a pass. on
Because
this
they
round.
didn't like them or because they still have? I'm just curious.
Portland still has them.
They need to give them out.
Yeah, well, I can't control what they do with them once they get them. Hampton, apparently the way Hampton's got funded was different from all the other towns. In almost every case, it was the municipality that put the money up. In Hampton's case, it was the Friends of the Goodwin Forest, and then the town said they would support, but then they kind of backtracked And they told the Friends of the Goodwin that they would have to go and do crowdfunding or some other direct fundraising for it. So that was disappointing to them. I don't know why Putnam's not going in, if they just don't feel like they're ready right now, or they have other things on it. But Delphi replied to me today and she said they're going to wait until the next round. So it may just be that they have more left than I thought. So the town I haven't heard from is Pomfret, but Thompson, Wyndham, Columbia, and East Hampton, I can't remember, I can never remember which one that is, East Hampton are all in. So we have at least 4 committed. So I'm going to line those ducks up before Thursday so I can go into the Board of Directors meeting with a revised number, and that can sort of be just pushed forward. So, but long story to say, we will get a reprint coming in 23. I don't know exactly when or exactly how many yet.
And who pays for that?
EDC has already voted, right? We did that at the last meeting, I think, to commit up to 1,000 out of their remaining
Is that what it
budget.
was? Yeah, I don't remember.
Because I knew as of the last EDC meeting that this was on the table, so they voted at that time.
Meanwhile, I still put maps out at Lowell Davis. I haven't gone to the other locations, but since I'm on a subscription for my ink, I just started printing instead of having pages fall off. Every month I print another 50 or so. So I've got some built up at home. How are you doing with train maps, Paul?
I got enough for a while.
Okay.
I haven't been down in a while. It's probably empty, needs to get refilled.
I'm going to jump backwards for a minute. It's not map related, but something I noticed today, just on how we want to word it or bring it to Teague's attention when their annual report and the brochure and all their funding. I was looking through everything and did not find Thompson Trails. They list the turkey trot donation as Thompson Recreation. And it is a Thompson Trails function. So we need to make sure in the future they credit at least us. And I didn't know if you wanted us to share the billing with Recreation, Karen, or just
Oh,
wanted as
sure.
Trails.
We should.
But we should be in there. It's
Yeah,
our
we
event.
should. Yeah.
But because the check is written from Recreation,
Yeah.
that's what they're going by is the check.
Okay. All right, so reports from neighboring towns, Putnam?
Well, as I said, that we're named as a subrecipient on that grant application. We'll see how it goes.
Okay,
Just on when we reapply to the CT Deep grant,
Mhm.
are we competing with that one?
Different grant.
Okay.
Theirs is like, I think it's a climate resilience grant.
Well, that's sort of what it's, yeah.
It's definitely
Okay.
not the recreational
Okay.
trails grant because they've been working on it for however many weeks and they were just about ready to submit. The recreational trails grant just opened, but off the top of my head, I think it's like a climate and
Yeah,
resilience
well,
grant.
that's
That
what it
sounds very
says,
familiar
Deep
to me.
Climate Resilience Fund application.
Yeah.
Okay.
okay, 12-town task force.
The task force didn't have a meeting, but some members of the task force did get together on Zoom, I don't know, last week sometime. Jean Davies, as you probably know, is retiring as executive director of Connecticut RC&D. They're the ones who had that grant to make the master plan and they were the ones running the 12-town task force. She is just about done with the final report. What we had that meeting about was essentially to try to figure out how she should format it to be of most use to the partner towns. And obviously I'll be paraphrasing here in Jean's place, but as I understood how we led it, they are going to address Deep's relationship to the trail because that's a gray area that I think a lot of towns find confusing. It's a state trail, but the state doesn't really maintain it. Like, what is it? for clarification. But then also each individual town will have, opportunities, recommendations, places where, there's potential to work with other towns. So it'll be more like a roadmap for the partner towns when she gets done. What is unclear is once the grant expires, or, it comes to its conclusion, which it will upon the production of this final report, it's sort of a big then what. And that then what, in my mind, includes who takes up the leadership on that. Does it stay with RC&D to sort of shepherd?
Hmm.
And I think that is still a gray area. But maybe that's something she'll resolve in the final report as well.
Charlie is still taking care of the trail census.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we can skip that over. Equipment, tool status and maintenance.
Well, last meeting, we voted to buy some chainsaw blades. I bought two
Yep.
new chainsaw blades. I swapped it out and it makes a huge difference. You can ask John with the
Oh,
new
yeah.
blade on it.
Yeah.
You can-
And I haven't hit anything with them.
Yeah.
He let me, he goes, all right, you're taking it, don't hit nothing with the blade.
You guys have safety chaps?
Oh, yeah.
We do,
Very good.
but it cuts me. We did move the trailer. It is
Yeah,
back behind the
trailer's back.
town.
I was gonna ask that, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Working with the new DPW chief, or I don't know what you call him,
Director.
director. He had me put it in a different spot. It's already kind of behind the shed, out of the way, so they don't have to worry about plowing around it and stuff like that. It's behind the gated area.
So the
to
equipment
the side.
winterized yet, or?
I don't know, we probably should put some,
So we have to get some stable and put some
yeah,
stable.
'cause I
in.
bought
Do you-
gas. I didn't put,
Are you
when I
using,
bought gas, I just got, filled it.
are you using regular gas or the stuff that you don't need stable if you're using?
So we
regular?
used regular gas. It wasn't, I guess, thought out well enough on there. I suggest from this point on that we just buy the more expensive stuff because it's already kind of stabilized or whatever.
You
Right.
talking for the chainsaw or for the Kubota?
Yes.
Both,
So we already use it for the chainsaw.
Yeah,
You bought it in
chainsaw
the
is
can.
Yeah,
right,
So
okay.
so that stuff is all our equipment has been used with that.
Yeah.
And in talking from the guy that we bought it from up in Quinnebog, I asked him like, what's the maintenance on these? And he asked me what we put for fuel. And he said, if we're using the stuff out of the can, that's what we need to do for maintenance. That's works.
Yeah.
But I also found out that they make that fuel that you can also put in the Kubota because it's just regular fuel.
well, it's gonna be
with no oil.
expensive, because the regular gas is.
So
Yeah.
it is expensive, but like that guy said, all the additives that they put in gasoline, for one, is not necessarily the best. Two, how much fuel do we use in that thing? Legitimately in a year?
Well, I don't, I get like, I filled
I spent money on gas that I got
like
reimbursed for.
$50 worth
Yep,
of regular gas.
yep. But I'm saying even if we, so just looking at, if we spent $200 in fuel for that for the year, it's buying the more expensive stuff, that's gonna save us in the long run on maintenance. Because
Yeah.
there's not all that alcohol in there and all that stuff that's not necessarily good. Now, you put it in your car and you're burning it, it doesn't sit for very long, so it's not as bad.
Well, I mean, if you were to like start out in the spring and you needed to put gas in and you're gonna use it all summer, you can
Yep.
put in whatever, as long as what it goes into the winter with has the special stuff in it.
So
Well,
again,
they're saying this stuff is better for all the,
Overall.
yeah, the fuel,
Overall.
all the fuel parts inside, what, there used to be
Yeah.
carburetors and stuff.
so it is more expensive.
I mean,
to buy
I've
it
never
for, like,
used it, but that's
buy
the
a
first thing.
5-gallon thing, but it's like $40 for 5 gallons or something. It is outrageously priced. But it doesn't have all the stuff that they put in,
Yeah.
what you pump
So
out.
they
of the
sell
people-
pump.
that at
People that I know that have
that
power
place,
equipment say,
5-gallon
you use
buckets.
that stuff, you
Runnings
hardly have
does.
any
Oh, they
maintenance.
do.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I can find out the fire department, we buy it somewhere because that's what we run now in our Kubota.
Okay.
Ours is not Kubota, ours is a Polaris.
Polaris, yeah.
But we were running into problems where it wasn't running. It's a lot older than ours. And it has a lot more weight on it because we had fire equipment on it, but we had to pay significant money in maintenance costs. And they recommended that we change the fuel.
So far, we haven't used regular fuel, we have.
We have.
We have.
What's the
That's all I've been
Kubota's-
using, is regular fuel.
It
So-
uses regular
So
fuel.
does it need to be drained for the winter? And
No, we
Let
just
stuff
need to
go
put some
in.
stable in the
Added
tank. We can
stabilizer.
pour it in. I got the documentation on how much gallons it is and the weight, because you and I were talking about the weight. It weighs 1,300 and something pounds.
What's that?
The Kubota.
Okay.
You and I were
Well,
talking
I
about
was,
that.
I would like to know what the whole.
Right,
trailer
oh, I know.
weighs, so when we tow it, you kind of get an idea what you.
Um, But I just say from this point on that we use that fuel in it and we burn up what's in there. I'll put some stable in there and run it so that it runs through it to cover us for this year. But I actually talked to,
Steve. In Quinnebog?
no, the DP, that's the guy at the place where we bought our equipment, like the DPW. Deputy
Director.
Director. No one bites first name. I'm friends with him, so I don't know, but I don't call him the director. Anyways, he checked to see if he had something. He didn't happen to have any. They had just done it all in their equipment that they don't use for the winter. So they didn't have any at the time. So I'll get some. It's not that expensive. And I'll just submit it. Yeah.
Okay. I was gonna say, if you want the weight with all the stuff in it, you should ask the DPW director if you can just go over the scale of the transfer
They
station.
said we could.
Yeah, we
talked
thought they
about
said
it.
we could, but we'd
Yeah.
have to just.
That day we just put it away. So when we break it out again, we'll stop up there and see what it weighs.
But there's gotta be online spec sheets. I mean, you already.
No,
know.
but it's
No,
got
but
all the
we've
stuff
got
in
yeah,
it.
wheelbarrows
Oh.
and
All kind
saws
of,
and all
you know,
that stuff in
sledgehammers.
there.
Gotcha.
So they said we could pull right on there.
Stuff
they
that
weigh us,
Rob's
and
gonna
then-
use.
Hey, my truck and your truck pull it, so.
Yeah.
you know,
So
Okay.
it's all put away anyways, and it is secure there, so
Great.
we're good.
No agenda for future meetings?
I have a
Guess
guess,
we already talked about that, right?
we talked about the meeting dates, I think she's looking for agenda
agenda.
items.
Agenda.
Yeah, just if
I-
anything new comes up, if you don't know today, but before the next meeting, make sure we get it on the agenda. So,
I would think that we would talk about the signage that you saw on,
Yeah.
in Putnam, so, to find out when, where, and if we're looking, we need to put some of that stuff off.
Even to talk about that signage, I think
Does
it would
Delphi know
be,
about that, or is she retired? now?
She's not retired until early January. I am actually having lunch with Delphi and her replacement and a couple of the other folks from the tourism district and some of the other intersecting boards that I'm on next week or the week after. Next week, I think.
but I'd also like to talk about and see what other people think of, and I had a picture, I can't find it tonight, but it wasn't on the agenda anyways, but putting like mileage signs on our part of the airline trail, like going from the Mass line to 1
those-
mile to 2
yeah,
miles, you
those
know what I
are-
mean?
yeah, those
Well,
are good.
we've talked with Lyanne about the ones that they have in Pomfret. They have those posts made with the signs
Yep.
showing the distance from one intersection to the next, the height
Yep.
variation. And the state has those signs, but I forget the name, Lyanne, but I know you said they have it, but they just have to get someone to install them.
But I also saw something somewhere, and I don't know who would make them. I'm gonna do a little research, but the mile markers were made and they went on a post and they were made out of rail tie, what do you call it, spikes.
Neat.
So
Yeah.
like somebody heated it, and I just think that would be a neat addition, and I can't imagine that it would be like crazy expensive.
Do
Nothing
we have a
cheap.
local
but
blacksmith?
we might.
Probably.
Listen, if you go walking along, between Webster and
They're all over the
Dudley,
place.
they must be on the ground because, when they took up the rails, they didn't save that.
Yeah, and it's not a matter of that. I'm sure we could get those. It's a matter of somebody, a blacksmith or somebody that can do it. And I had pictures of fabricated ones and I looked on my phone. I can't find it, but I will for next meeting.
Also, you don't necessarily want the ones that have been buried in the ground.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
much.
It adds to the aesthetics
Yeah,
of it.
I got
Fair
at least
enough.
3 of them at home.
I just think
Really?
it would be pretty cool to do on there. Again, I don't know who we have to ask for permission because that would be putting something on a state trail
You
that.
just need to run it by deep and make sure they're okay with it.
Yeah.
If you're talking about agenda items for next meeting, Richard Fries has reached back out to me and Charlie about the Natchog Epic. I don't really think they're gonna need much, but they did just send, Richard did just send something out early this week where they're gonna probably be looking for flaggers as volunteers. I think that they're gonna ask a lot less of the towns than they have before, but that one thing was something they're considering that would be new.
I believe he said he needed 5 flaggers.
Oh,
and
that's right.
5
Charlie sent that
Yeah,
around.
Yeah,
5
exactly.
bike
Oh, yeah,
riders.
He answered something today, Richard Fries.
yeah. Richard
Yes,
Fries is
Charlie's
the
right.
organizer for the race, or at least the organizer that we talked to.
Yeah, and he left some places where they would like some people. If they had ideas.
Do you have a date
That
for
came in
that?
today.
Yeah, March 26th is the race, I know.
Yeah, you didn't have the date on those emails, so there's always something important missing. So I didn't want to volunteer to be a flagger because I didn't know what date it was.
Well, yeah.
I think that's their set date for that event is the last
Last weekend
Sunday
in
in March. It's been on that date or that same weekend now, I think, for whatever years they've done. You know, I'm probably gonna do the same thing I did for them last year, which is being a gopher, running around town to put together a local prize basket. That worked out well.
What do they do with the prize baskets? Like,
They do little award ceremony at the end, and I didn't go to it, so I don't know how they actually distribute them, but I ran around and got a lot of local stuff between here and Putnam. And yeah, I mean, he sent me some money and I spent it.
nice. Yeah, I'm probably, I don't think anything else is up for me for that. I would probably be going to for that too. Flag, so I didn't understand. I thought it was another email that it took me a while to figure it out, that's all. Like, what is this? But as you followed the trail, it made sense.
I didn't get it. I think Charlie's
Oh,
not sending me stuff anymore.
I don't know.
I haven't heard from him.
I can forward it to you.
So can I make a motion that we end the meeting
I'll second.
at 8:32?
Wow.
Such good timing.
All in favor?
Hi.
Aye.
Cool. Nice.
I can get to see part of the Bruins and then on to the football game.